Hello and welcome to the Horse Show podcast. I'm Chris Stafford. This is Season 6, Episode 1. And yes, we are the oldest running show here on the WISports Network. We've had a bit of a break with this show, but we're back again and we'll be bringing you a lot more interviews from around the world of equestrian sport, so stay tuned. And to kick off this new season, I'm joined by American show jumper Alison Robitaille, who came within 2 seconds of winning this year's Upperville Jumping Classic, the 213,000 finale to the prestigious Upperville Colt and Horse Show. But it was meaningful for the local rider nonetheless, since this was her home show. A native Virginian, Alison has ridden on this turf all her life. She inherited her passion for horse sports and first made her mark on the US team when she was selected for the 1998 World Equestrian Games in Rome, where she was the highest placed American rider at the tender age of 22. Since then, she's been on the 1999 Pan American Games team in Winnipeg and at the 2004 Athens Olympic Games, where she was representing the USET as the first alternate. Other career highlights include winning the Nations Cup team and third in the Grand Prix in Buenos Aires back in 2012. Alison has competed at 5 World Cup finals. She's won more than 40 Grand Prix and ridden on 25 Nations Cup teams. And she says now that the most important thing in her life is being a mum to her 2 daughters, Ava and Zoe, and to arranging her show schedule to fit in with them. Alison, thank you so much for taking time to do this out of your busy schedule.
My pleasure to be here.
Well, it is a very different schedule these days as a mum. And I'm curious, the first thing that happens when athletes become parents, their perspective changes, their priorities change. How would you say that motherhood has shaped you as a woman and as an athlete?
I think it's made me a lot more cognizant of my time management. I mean, obviously somewhat out of necessity, but really, taking the time to ask myself, do I really need to be doing this right now? To try and get the most out of the time I have with my kids and my horses.
And how has it shifted your scheduling? It must be very different now. I mean, in terms of how many horses do you have to ride? How does that fit into the girls' schedule when they're in school or of course now they're out of school?
Yeah, I have a group of about 6 horses that I compete. And I feel like that's, I wouldn't want to go too much more than that because unless I feel like I can do a really good job, I don't want to do it. And it's important to me to have real relationships with my horses as opposed to just hopping on and going. So I like that number. I have 50% custody with my ex-husband. So we work on a week on, week off schedule. Luckily, he's been great to work with. So I just try and schedule my competitions on the weeks that I don't have the kids with me. So I can be really present with them and then also really present with my horses while competing.
How has it shifted your goals, your ambitions? Because you are very seasoned. I'm not going to call you a veteran athlete or a veteran show jumper at this point.
Yes, you're kind.
Plenty of time for that. But I think, dare I say you were 22 when you were at WEG in Rome? Yes, I had some really early success. And then I took a big break from the sport when I got married and had kids. And I just, when I was pregnant with my second child, I remember feeling like, okay, I really miss this. And I want to get back to it at some point. Has that hunger, that competitive urge, that ambition to, do you pay attention to your rankings anymore, your world rankings and your ambition to get on the team? Has that shifted at all, Alison? Yes, I would say I don't follow my world ranking, or I have no ambition to be, in the top 10 of the world at all anymore, because I realize that means I would never see my kids. So I'm very much at peace with that. I've more been, it's been a long kind of slow build of putting together a string of horses I feel like I can be really competitive on.
So I more sort of shape my schedule and pick a few, really aim at more individual competitions rather than thinking about world ranking.
So how do you select with a team of 6, you say you have mm-hmm. now, how do you select your competitions now? If there's not that overall riding, no pun intended, ambition to get back on the team, how do you perceive that now? What are your priorities?
Well, I am actually part of a team. It's the first year they've started this major league show jumping in the States, or North America, I should say. So those team competitions start in the middle of July. So that became the first priority of shows I was going to do. And looking at their show schedule, which has shifted a bit because of COVID and Canada, and that's changed a little bit here and there. Obviously Upperville is always a definite yes for me because it's right down the road from where I live. And it's, special to me in a lot of ways growing up in the area. I would say Florida has become kind of a quieter time for me, whereas some people go really strong in the winter in Florida. I've looked at Florida the last couple of years as more of a building season to be really ready for the spring and the summer and the fall. Right. Because my kids are in school in Virginia, I fly back and forth every other week. And I just don't have that consistency with my horses during that time.
Yeah, that must be very different now, isn't it, Florida?
Yes.
Before you were a parent. Yeah. Upperville, of course, as you said, is your local gymkhana. When was the first year you rode there, Alison? Do you remember?
Oh, I think in the 80s, probably on ponies.
Right. That's where it all began. And the competitive showing rider that you are obviously, that I would imagine was fueled very much so by the ponies and the.
Yes.
Yeah. And the showing world before the jumping world. Why did you choose jumping? What was compelling for you there to go the show jumping route when you could have gone anywhere given your parents' involvement with horses?
Yeah, my parents really loved the race horses, and it was really due to them that I got my love of horses. I remember my mom bringing me to the broodmare barn and going in the stalls with the broodmares and the foals, and just being like, I can remember that like it was yesterday. Patting them and thinking like, wow, this is amazing. As I learned to ride, I really started having lessons, I think, when I was probably 8 or 9, and just, I don't know, I guess I just gravitated toward the jumping and kind of went from there.
Yeah. Well, you went on to how many Nations Cup teams and Grand Prix wins, and was it 5 World Cups that you've done now?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. So when you look back at all that, you were an alternate in Athens too, if I remember.
Yes.
I was in Rome when you were on that team back in 1998.
Okay.
When you look back on those successes, Alison, with the peak really of, being on the team, what are you most proud of now? What are the stories you'd like to tell the girls?
Oh, that's a great question. I obviously, it's always an honor to represent your country in team competition, and especially on stages like the World Championships and, the biggest parts of our sport, the Pan Am Games. I think a really special thing for me was being awarded the Nations Cup Rider of the Year, having the most clear rounds in Nations Cups out of, all the countries. That was really, really special.
So that's a highlight. Did the girls ask you about the past, and when they look at the trophies and the photos everywhere, are they inquiring about that, or is that something that Mum does?
A little bit of both. Mostly it's something that happened in the 1900s, as they say.
Back in the 1900s.
Yeah.
That's one way to put it, isn't it? And
Yeah.
and a lot of parents, they always want their children to follow in their footsteps in some way to be competitive. Others will just let them go whichever route they want to go. But with them having access to horses and to ponies, how important is that to you, that they follow in your footsteps and the family traditions?
It's not. It's not important to me. It's what's important to me is that they find, this is my real passion. And it's most important to me that they get exposed to a lot of different things and that they find theirs.
Yeah. And being sporty, do you enjoy them being sporting, or do they have other interests, art or music or so on at this age?
A little bit of everything. One just turned 10 and the other one is 12. They both play instruments. They're both artistic. And they both love animals. So like I said, I just want to support them in whatever lights them up.
Now, when you have to go and show now coming, I know you're leaving again shortly for Michigan for the season. How does that work in with the girls' program? Do they come with you?
For the first time, they are traveling. They're going to try a sleepaway camp. So I think they're excited about that in July. So they will come with me for the last week in Michigan. But that's kind of a yearly tradition. They at least come with me one of the weeks up there, and it's a beautiful area.
Yes. And will they ride a little bit whilst they're there?
Sometime in other years, I've brought ponies for them to ride at the show and just have fun with. I didn't last year. I probably won't this year because they're just coming with me for a few days. But it's, like I said, the last thing I wanted to do is make them feel obligated to ride. Right. So I feel like if they really want to do it, they'll tell me.
Yeah. And at this point in your career then, Alison, I'm wondering, is it most important then, if you're not competitive for the team, the USET, how would you like to be considered? Is it a horsewoman who's bringing on young horses that you can go and sell and that would make the team perhaps? Or is it as a competitor? Which would you like to be thought of?
I've done a little bit of both, really. And I would say now I'm more focused on my own competing as opposed to, I enjoy the process of bringing the horses along, from young horses up to the Grand Prix level or wherever their level is, that they're going to be most successful. But I think I'm really focused in on the competing myself. And I would guess I would say my big aim is probably World Cup finals. So that's more of an individual thing. In being a mother, and because my kids come first, I don't really at this moment feel like I'm going to sign up for even being considered to be on a team, because I don't like even the idea of letting anybody down, or saying at the last minute I can't make it. So that's more my focus.
So would you regard Lima 47 as your top horse now? It's a relatively new ride for you.
Yeah, he is a relatively new ride, and he stepped up on Sunday beautifully. And yeah, I'm very excited about him, as well as my mare Ginger Pop. She's been a great horse for me the last few years. And I've got a couple of others I'm slowly bringing along, hopefully up to that level, but they've got to tell me what they're ready for.
They always tell you, don't they?
They do.
Eventually.
Yes.
It's just a matter of listening, right?
Exactly.
So you leave shortly then. How many horses will you take to Michigan, Alison?
I will take the 6 horses.
6 horses. So you'll have a busy enough time out there.
Yes.
Certainly. Well, I do appreciate, again, you taking the time to come on the show, and the very, very best of luck in Michigan and beyond.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Chris. It's great speaking with you.
And we'll put a link in the show notes to Alison's social media so you can follow her. And that can be found at wisports.com, where you'll find many more shows and stories, videos, articles from around the world of women's sports. You can follow us, as always, at WisSports. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and TikTok. So do follow along. We always encourage your comments, and also you can contact us directly via email if you have any comments or questions or suggestions for guests for the show. That's info@wispsports.com. My thanks again to Alison and to you for tuning in and helping us turn up the volume on women's sports. Until the next time, goodbye for now.